recording. Well, thank you for coming. And we are going to have some fun tonight, I guarantee. Well, I'm going to have fun, and that's really all that matters. But, if I just want to say a couple of things before we get into the meat. Okay, we get into the tofu of this gathering. First of all, I want to say that, if this was sometimes I just don't feel like I'm respected enough and honored enough. If I really was respected and honored to that great degree, this is what would be happening at this moment. But no. Did you get up? Did you get up and dance like that for me? No. As a matter of fact, Scott Ryder is making the faces already about, complaining that this has already gone on 10 minutes too long and he could have been spending his time a lot more wisely. Okay, that's one possible way that, we could have carried on tonight with something as serious as the topic. Now, another possibility we could do is this, which is to set the tone in this way. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are connected and created b'tselem Elohim, that they are endowed by Yah with certain unalienable rights, that among them are ahava, rachamim, chesed, v'shalom, and the pursuit of a spiritual home, as well as the right to a spiritual community where there might be on any given Shabbos the most minute possibility of experiencing joy and contemplation, song, dance, story, and Jay sharing a Muppet background during the animal parade or during the State of the Minyan address. Let's start that music one more time so that I can go on with the shenanigans. Let's hear it. 1, 2, 3. That to secure these rights, it is the right of moshniks to find a different shul to daven at, gesundheit hate, or abolish it by simply turning off their computers and going for a nice Shabbos walk instead. But no, you choose this to be your spiritual home, and Dan chooses to turn off of his video at this very moment. Thank you very, very much. We hope now I have set the stage for tonight's State of the Minyan address. We are a lucky bunch of people. We're about to celebrate our 5th anniversary, and I'm hoping Meira Gail. Gail Garland's here. Now do I have to do that all over again? No, okay. Gail, you're going to have to watch the video because, I'm not doing that all over again for everybody's sake. 5 years, my friend. That means we have 8 more years to go for our B mitzvah year, at which time I will immediately be retiring from something. I don't know from what, but I'm not promising to retire from this, especially since Shosh just put dinner on the table. I want to start off by reading for you an amazing document that I think describes our community better than anything I have ever written. Now, first, let me tell you what this document is. Thanks for the thumbs up there, Dan. Unbeknownst to you all, I have been working with some pro bono lawyers. Unbeknownst to me, or off of my radar screen, was that in 2014, when we got our nonprofit status, it wasn't as a church. Apparently, I checked off the wrong box. And lo and behold, this has not affected anything all of these years. Doesn't affect the deductibility of your donations. It doesn't affect what we do. What it does affect is the fact that we have become so wonderfully successful financially that at the end of the year, I have to spend 10 hours filling out a form that I would not otherwise have to fill out. So why do I share all that? It's because now I am looking to get redesignation for our community as a church. Okay, we're not a church, but we're a church according to the IRS, right? So all of you lawyers out there, you can breathe a sigh of relief. I'm not going to be calling you because I've found some nice pro bono people who have probably done at least $15,000 work of free work for us. Maybe more. I have no idea. Why I'm mentioning all of this? Because I want to read to you some of the things that were in the 2 documents that have been sent to the IRS after extensive conversations that our lawyers, had with me. And they put it into language, I think you will agree, hits things right on the proverbial noggin. Minyan Oneg Shabbat, MOSh, is a Jewish church, a synagogue with a congregation of approximately 80 members who come together regularly to practice their faith in religious services and other communal activities. Now keep in mind, they're using language that I would never use, like members, but this is going to the IRS, and they already have no clue who we are, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when I'm done with this. MOSh holds religious services every Saturday morning and on Jewish holidays throughout the year, as well as teaching meetings on Wednesdays, evenings, and group meditation on Wednesday afternoons. The synagogue also offers pastoral counseling, weekly Bible discussions, that's in the works, member social gatherings, and support for life cycle events. MOSh is led by Rabbi Mark Novak, who received rabbinic ordination as a rabbi and spiritual director in 2012 from Aleph, a fully accredited seminary. Pretty good so far, eh? MOSH's religious services currently take place over Zoom. This format was initially adopted in March of 2020 when, like many synagogues and churches, MOSH transitioned away from in-person activities to reduce public health risks. Since then, Rabbi Novak and the synagogue's congregation have found that live Zoom meetings are ideally suited for the conduct of MOSH's inclusive, communal, and highly participatory services. Zoom has enabled MOSH to evolve from a part-time local institution into a full-time synagogue and community with a regular congregation of members who attend services from across the United States. Don't take this personally, Devorah, but this is for the IRS. Rabbi Novak leads MOSH's services and other Zoom gatherings from his home. The rabbi's wife, a MOSH congregant, joins the Zoom meetings from her laptop in another room to be ready to address any technical issues that may arise. Several times during the year, one or more MOSH members who live locally may join Rabbi Novak. In person during services, sitting next to the rabbi and participating with other congregants in a hybrid manner. I'm sorry I couldn't put your name in there, Scott and Judy. Many MOSH members in other locations participate similarly, joining services with their spouses or families sitting behind them, and thus communing with their fellow MOSH congregants both in person and remotely. Every MOSH service and gathering is an interactive, communal experience. Each congregant, wherever they are located physically, is encouraged to be an active participant. MOSH's services provide congregants with multiple opportunities to share their thoughts and feelings for all to hear and be inspired by. Services are not live streamed or broadcast in any way, which MOSH has found helps to build community and fosters an intimate participatory environment. Congregants can and do unmute their microphones at any time during MOSH's services to offer comments. Zoom's chat function provides an additional opportunity for congregants to connect and associate with each other during services. I am not done. I think they're doing a great job here. Members take various leadership roles at MOSH services. For example, every Shabbat, following the rabbi's sermon, a member offers a reflection about their life, modeling for others a response to 2 prompts arising from the weekly biblical text and sermon. Congregants then gather in breakout rooms or breakthrough rooms of 3 to 4 participants to share their responses. Then the member who shared the initial reflection facilitates a conversation in which other participants reflect on or share insights from their breakthrough room discussions. I have to tell you that Steve, one of the lawyers, he came on a Shabbat morning because he understood my difficulty in explaining what it is to be in Paris without ever having been there. In addition, during every service, a congregation offers a guided meditation. All who wish to do so offer a statement of gratitude within the context of a traditional Jewish prayer of thanks. Every congregant is invited to name someone who needs a healing prayer said on their behalf. Several congregants chant a portion of the traditional liturgy, and others have an opportunity to echo a musical phrase offered by the rabbi. Each month, 1 or 2 MOSh members sponsors a meal after Shabbat service and lead discussion on a specific topic of interest. Additionally, members volunteer to teach each other on topics of Jewish interest and lead meditation gatherings. Members serve together on volunteer committees. Gatherings. Members serve together on volunteer committees, including caring teams that reach out to members during critical times, planning teams that offer ideas for classes of interest to the congregation, and outreach teams that spread the word about MOSh. In services held during the high holidays, in addition to the above activities, MOSh congregants offer extended sermons, which are followed by shared reflections from any members who wish to offer them. Several congregants blow the shofar, ram's horn, or call out the names of the sounds for another congregant to blow. Gabriel, blow. Congregants also take on roles in scripted plays based upon the day's sacred reading. And a MOSh member offers a personal reflection before the part of the service when congregants remember loved ones who have died. Coming in for a landing, in addition to MOSH's remote activities, the synagogue also organizes 2 in-person retreats per year in the fall and spring. These retreats draw 50 to 70 MOSH members from across the United States and 1 from Canada. Congregants who reside in the Washington, D.C. area gather for local events during the year, including a traditional ritual at a stream for the second day of Rosh Hashanah, a social gathering in the Sukkah at the rabbi's family's home during the holiday of Sukkot, and starting in 2024, a MOSH night at a baseball game at Nationals Park. And I know that Judy is here, and pitchers and catchers report in about 12 days. So that's the part that I lifted. But if you are interested, after this whole thing is over, of course, we just sent the second letter after the IRS asked additional questions. What the lawyer said to me, and if they turn us down, we'll go to court and we'll win. What the issue is, could you give me one more second here, and then I'll take the questions about this. The issue here is that the IRS, 2 things, has never encountered anything like us, right? They have been gobsmacked by people who have applied and received 501c3 church status, by people who are doing, garbage out of their houses, who are basically in it, just one person who's trying to earn a buck or trying to sell a Bible with their name on it. Imagine that. So that's one thing. And I forgot the other thing. So Dan and Devorah, question?
So I'm sorry, that whole thing that you read describing what's done here was written by the lawyer after talking?
Yes, the lawyers who I'm working with.
Okay.
After conversation with me, after several conversations with me.
Right. And what is MOSH designated as wrongly?
I forgot to look that up. It's a different kind of organization, but not a church.
But it has tax-free.
Yes, that's what I said before. Yes.
Okay, so that it doesn't affect any actual finances, but
all it affects really is me having to work with my accountant and gather a lot of information, which is a pain in the proverbial butt.
Churches have to do less bookkeeping than other organizations.
Yeah, actually, they don't have to do any. They don't have to report a thing. They do not.
So other nonprofits have more to do, and right now we're another kind of nonprofit, but not a church nonprofit.
Yeah, okay. If I remember, Dan, I'll send you what that is when we're done.
That's fine. I'm just curious. So the point is the amount of documentation that one would have to do, that if it was a church or whatever, or religious institution, you wouldn't have to do.
That's correct. That's
Got
right.
it.
That's right. Dora, your question? Yeah, Jay.
I just wanted to comment that I know they're doing a ton of work for you pro bono, and it's very valuable. But they now owe you $54 for using three words that you don't permit.
Committee members, and what's the third one?
Break,
Break
break
out.
out.
Count.
Break.
What?
They owe
What
me
was the
money
third
on
one?
that one.
Break out.
Yeah, that's right. GOJ money. That's right.
Yeah.
I
I'm
think they did a
working with
great-
the patent and trademark office still on that. So we're still a 501c3, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Doesn't change.
No, it doesn't change a thing. We are. That's in our the letter we originally received from the IRS. All of this came about because Evan Crane, who is a rabbi, who many of you know, and I was telling him about sitting down and having to fill out the 990 easy, which is not that easy. And he said, "Why are you doing that?" And that's what and that's what led to this. The other thing that's really interesting about the documents that the lawyer sent to the IRS is the number of cases that they cite, making our case. It's an absolutely thrilling document. When I read it, my mouth was, my jaw was like wide open. Like, I really respect these people for what they do and be able to really tune into. And this is actually a lawyer, a law group that works only with nonprofits. So I so lucked out upon them. It came about through somebody who I was talking to, and then they knew somebody, and so in the end I tracked them down. Dan, one more thing.
Why you said that they said that they are gobsmacked by this sort of organization, or
No, the IRS, they don't know what to do with us because
why is this different from all other religious?
it's because the most basic reason is that in order to be designated a church, you have to have a building, a place where you regularly meet that is brick and mortar. We've created something that never existed before.
Well, how about all the Chavarot and all the other ones that we have just down the street here that meet in churches, or they meet at other places?
Yeah.
They meet in
They
churches,
meet in
and
churches.
they meet in other places. It's us they don't understand. That's the point of the letter, is that we do the things that a religious institution does. It's just hard for the IRS to understand that, since we don't look like a group of people going into a building and gathering.
Oh, I
the
see.
way
You don't have to own a building. You just have
No.
to meet in a building, as
That's
far as they know.
right.
Got
So
it.
This is kind of new, what we do. It didn't used to exist that people had faith-based organizations.
Well,
in
if
the ether.
if a committee meets only online, is it really a committee?
Oh, that's a longer. We are so not getting into that discussion here, Dan.
I think you owe us money. What did he say? What word?
And you owe us
18
money.
bucks. This is a money-making meeting.
I didn't say our committee. I said just a committee.
All righty.
Say that again.
Before Dan hijacks the entire evening,
We have a hand up.
so I wanted to share all that with you because I think it's brilliant, and also for all these 5 years that we have been trying to write things up, and represent ourselves in ways that people would get interested in what we do. Obviously, this is legal language in trying to answer to the IRS's concerns, but I thought they did such a wonderful job. Eliana has her hand raised, says Dan Glazer.
I have 3 points. One, I believe that Olive had this problem because they weren't a brick and mortar seminary. And so there may be some help that you could get by asking questions about that. The second is...
But can I interrupt you? Believe you me, I'm not asking for any more help other than from these wonderful lawyers. But
okay.
yeah, but
Okay.
yeah. But go ahead.
The second is that's so encapsulated what we are. It was really a beautiful presentation. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, gee, if this could be made in the language that would be inviting, it could be used in our website. So that's a thought. The other
If you
thing,
would, go ahead. Go ahead. No, nothing to say.
the last thing, when you were going through these various things that you do, that we all do in MOSh, you and Renee use parts of your home for your work. And I believe that that parts of your home are
Yeah,
tax.
we've been working freelance forever, so we know about a home office deduction. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah. So thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, so you all agree this is a fantastic document. I would have to, if anybody wants to see it, I would have to ask the lawyer's permission to share this, and then I'd be happy to do that. I've already shared some of this, but it reads so beautifully, and the citations that they chose is just right on. You'll see for yourselves. So a little palate cleanser. I need a little bit of ice here, like it's in the midst, right, Ellen? In the midst. I am so looking forward to many of us being together for the retreat. If you haven't signed up yet and you still want to come, we still have room for you. Actually, what I want to mention about that is that the retreat schedule, almost completed, is now on the website. So you can click at moshdc.org and go to the retreat up on top in the menu, and then click on the schedule, and you'll see what we got in store. There's still a couple of things that need to be filled in, but for the most part, we got a really wonderful retreat lined up, including today. I just got the description. You know, we're having Joe Kessler. I was thinking of his first name because I call him Flip. Joe Kessler is Chazan Jack Kessler of Zikronot Livracha, his son, who played with my band a number of times, and he is the funnest performer that you have ever imagined, and an extraordinary violinist. And so he's going to be involved in all the services and helping me lead the healing service as well, musical support. And he's going to be teaching a workshop on the history of klezmer music. And I think that's going to be really, really fun, giving examples on where all of this comes from, the music known as klezmer music. So that's a little Vorspeise, a little taste of what's to come at the retreat. If you want the almost completed schedule, go to the website and see for yourself. Alrighty, so looking back on this past year, this community never fails to surprise me in what we've built together, and our transparency and our willingness to share each other, to share ourselves with each other, both during services, of course, and outside of services. For those of us who reach out, who call people who are in need, health needs, or even just to check in with people. I can't tell you all the things that people tell me that they've done, and I have no idea what's going on. And that's so wonderful for me to hear it, that it's almost like, oh, my Kinderlach are out in the world doing wonderful work. I'm sure Reb Zalman, probably said the same thing, in seeing how many things, sprouted from the work that he did, that he planted roots for. And I'm grateful for all of you, and in the many ways in which you support this community, beyond the financial support. The financial support now is allowing us to do some things that we have not been necessarily able to do. So, Deb Kolodny is, Rabbi Deb, Reb Deb is now leading for us when I am not available. And for the I think the word is that everybody really, really appreciates her leadership. And I think the best part of her leadership is she's not me. And, I always say to people, who are interested in this, I said to Yoel, for instance, I don't want you to be me. You can't be me. You can only be you, right? And so with that, for those of you who were with us this past Shabbat, a woman named Rena came, and then a woman named Avra is also going to come. One of them is a graduate of the Kohenet program, with Jill Hammer. And the other one is very active in the Rise Up Singing community. And I can say that here, they're much younger than us. And they're wonderful musicians and heart-centered people. And I'm looking forward. I've already had a nice discussion with one of them who hasn't come yet. And Rena, who did come, we haven't talked yet. But looking forward to that, and then adding them to the roster of people who will sub for me. Now, know that, like in this coming Shabbat, Carl and Bina are leading services. And in many ways, I prefer that it come from inside. But, there's very few of us here who can hold up the musical side of it. A lot more who can hold up the quote-unquote rabbinic side of it. But Janice is no longer available, or she might not be for quite a while because she's in the midst of moving. And so I need a few other people. So I'm very excited about these two women, and I hope that they work out. If you're wondering, well, what about Yoel? This is what happens when you hire, or somebody who is that talented. They're going to get too busy to work with you anymore and to commit to dates in the future when it's just once in a while. So that's what's going on in that department. If any of you are ever interested in doing any more, including Bernie Sanders is over Jay's right shoulder. I'm giving thought to now, since we have had such a successful experience with breakthrough rooms and the storytelling. So many of you have been our breakthrough room storytellers over the past 2 years, where we moved away from it being just Judith doing it all the time to sharing the wealth. And I think it's been an absolute tremendous success. Maybe for the biggest reason is that we get to know each other in so many different ways and so many different levels. And if you have not yet had the opportunity to do that, I invite you to do it. Please know that I make up the prompts and you don't have to do that. And I guide you all the way through the process of how to put together that 5-minute storytelling before the prompts are offered. So I would love over the next year for everyone who is a moshnik. Who's a moshnik? Somebody who comes more than once or twice, right? To take on that responsibility and share yourselves in that way, and that you'll find that is tremendously rewarding. And again, I'm grateful for all of you and everyone else who has signed up for that, for the Hoff poem, who we really still need people to be signing up for that on a more regular basis, so we don't have to be hawking people. And to lead the Amidah. And if there's anybody, any of you or anybody who's watching the recording who wants to be able to do that, hey, give a holler. We have people who, including myself, who are more than willing to teach how to chant the Amidah. Wednesday nights. Well, let's start on Wednesdays. Wednesdays are underattended in my mind. We've started calling Wednesday meditation the Secret MOSh Meditation Society. Jay comes regularly. Susan, you come regularly. Devorah comes regularly. Judy, you pop in once in a while, but you're at work, so it's a little more difficult for you. And maybe others of you have come, once in a while. We rarely have a minyan. And it would be lovely. It's another community building container for us, because we meditate on today we meditated on a song. We usually meditate on a piece of poetry or a piece of writing, or and then we reflect on it, and everyone has an opportunity to share what they experienced in much the way we do following breakthrough rooms. And it's always powerful, and it always reinforces why we do meditation on Wednesdays. So that's Wednesdays. Wednesday evenings, also underattended, meaning that there have been many, many times when we didn't have a minyan. Like a couple of weeks ago, I taught on the mystical hidden meanings of the Aleph Bet. And Scott was there, Devorah was there. I don't know if anybody else, others of you were there, I don't remember. But it was great fun, and it was very meaningful too. I taught one week on Baruch She'amar, and awakened, when we study the prayers, it awakens us, to when we're actually davening them, to have a fuller, fuller understanding, and so we can really enter into those prayers. So again, I'm open to other ideas about what you might be interested in, that might draw you to want to come on a Wednesday night. I am, the given is, I know that we're all zoomed out, right? And that is reason enough not to go on Zoom yet again on a Wednesday night. I don't care about who's teaching and whether it's MOSh or not. I get that, right? And with that, we've had greater attendance when we've had special guests. So with that, can I get a drum roll? Thank you. Next Wednesday night. What's next Wednesday night? It's February already. Yes. Next Wednesday night, I'm going to give you a little coming attraction. Next Wednesday night, Yael Chaikin has returned from her adventures in New Zealand, and she is going to be offering us a travelogue of her experiences. And if you were on her mailing list, her photographs are amazing, and she had such an adventure. You want to be sure not to miss that and support Yael. The following week, Rabbi Leila Gal-Berner, my teacher, and actually she is Devorah's director of studies. Reb Leila is a historian, and she is going to be presenting on the Jews of Spain, where she often leads groups to experience Jewish history in Spain. Now, I was hoping she was going to be able to do some of the history of Portugal. Now, why do I say that? Because the experience of the Jews in Portugal was different than the Jews' experience in Spain. And on the following week, our very own Rick Stone is going to be presenting on his podcast that is a bringing to life of a family during that time period, escaping from Portugal. So we're going to have 2 weeks of Jewish history after a week of Yael's history. Then all of March, for 4 consecutive weeks, Rabbi Deb Kolodny is going to be teaching on Judaism, gender, and you. And she wrote up something you haven't seen yet, and she gave me a couple of different possibilities, but here's what she wrote. She unpacked the 2,500-year-old Torah text, 1,800-year-old Talmudic text, 800-year-old Zoharic text, and over 25 years of their own scholarship on the following topics. Whew, I'm tired just reading that. What gender is Yud He Vav He, and why does that matter? How does Torah unpack gender in text and midrash as it related to our ancestors? How many genders did you say the Talmud talks about? For real? What about sexual orientation? I heard Torah is really bad on this. How bad is it? Or is it? And the Zohar, oof, the Zohar, everything is gendered. What do we make of that? And finally, let's go deep on the whole non-binary thing, okay? What revelations does that exploration invite? Through text already existing Midrash and Midrash, we co-create, supported by songs and psalms. This journey will be a delight. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. And know that I am in touch with a number of my other Jewish Renewal friends and teachers to come back and teach for us. And the coup d'etat would be if our beloved Red Marsha would come on a Wednesday night. So Ellen, I know you see Marsha all the time. Oh, you don't see her. You're not seeing her that often anymore. Okay, well, I will ask her. And I was going to ask her anyway. Because when she's feeling up to it, I think it would be a mitzvah for us to invite her to teach. Alrighty. You know, during the past year, people come, and like in any shul, people come and people go. Sometimes I wonder why people leave us. I have to admit, during the past year and a half, kind of feel ghosted by a couple of people who left and didn't give me really good reasons why, or wouldn't return my phone calls. But Geig isn't to hate. You know, everybody has their own reasons for leaving, and people are. Then we have new people who come. So Barry Hockwald Cagnola is now a regular Moshnik, as well as Jeffrey Bryson. I don't know if any of you have had a chance. Jeffrey's such a sweet guy. I've been in a breakthrough room with him. And a woman named Helena Landis, who I just had the pleasure of spending some time with on Zoom in the Zoomagog, just getting to know her. And it's very possible that she might come to the retreat because she got so turned on by what we're doing. She lives outside of Philadelphia, and she takes an Uber 45 minutes to get to Bnei Or. $100. Wow. So I told her, and she here's what she said to me. She said, you know, I came once. I didn't get there on time. And when I saw all of these people holding stuffed animals, and I didn't know if this place was for me. So I had to spend 15 minutes telling her the history of the Adonilam Animal Parade, and assure her that you know, when you go to shul, you should have fun. And she liked that, and we had a lovely, lovely conversation. You know, I mentioned before about learning amongst yourselves. You know, Me'ira Gale, a learning group that meets once a week, that arose out of something that she taught on a Wednesday night. And Devorah and several other Moshniks are doing some Torah study together. It's not quite ready for prime time. They'll let you know. Devorah along with Aliana, and Jen Wolf. So hopefully there'll be a time when we can open things up to a MOSh Torah study group. Our November Shabbaton, that was a great success here in DC. And you know, anything that puts more miles on Devorah's car is a good thing. I want to give you a heads up. Emails going from Constant Contact are ending up in some of your spam or junk folders. Or it's ending up in what they call, Google Mail started separating things into your regular email and then something they call promotions, right? Which, Devorah, you brought to my attention. So
And
if you
social. That's the
and
other
social. So here is the secret, which I learned from my Mac guru, D. Herman's son, Ben Rosenthal. If you need a Mac guy, he's your guy. You can turn those off, and then everything will go into one email pile in your Google Mail, and everything will be delivered into your inbox. So you can go online and you can check if you have separate categories, social, promotion, and I don't know what the third one is called, but that's your regular Gmail.
Inbox.
Inbox, thank you. Oh, what a clever name. To see whether that's happening if you're not getting our emails regularly. Alrighty, looking ahead. like I said, I'm always excited about the retreat. Looking ahead, our prayerful gatherings has been nothing short of machaya, a gift. We started, I don't know if you remember, after October 7th, we started meeting 4 nights a week. And that was not sustainable. And so now we're, as we have been for a while, meeting 2 nights a week. And I'm always grateful for everyone who comes. It's a place, like I will say oftentimes, where we feel like we're really holding each other and that we are held, right? And offering that to others as well. Tomorrow is Thursday, and the big news really is not that Renee and I are going to meet our granddaughter Netta, but that Agam Berger is, God willing, scheduled to be released. And Orly is related to Agam and has not been able to breathe. She's been suffering from mikotze ruach, right? All since October 7th. And we have been praying for and witnessing Agam's photograph all of these weeks and months and over years now, right? I don't know if there will ever be a time when we won't do this prayerful gathering on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. And not only because we need some resilience and comfort and community over October 7th, but because there are many moshniks who are suffering in different ways. We are all, and I pray not overtaken, but we are understandably fearful, not just for ourselves, but for others. For our lesbian daughter and the entire LGBTQ community, for all of those who are being tracked down by ICE, but those of you and other moshniks and who have been doing just magnificent work trying to keep us healthy and keep us safe, who are now threatened from the loss of jobs and loss of monies to support their work. For the past couple of months, I think, I've been singing, the Carrie Newcomer song, Will You Be My Refuge? And I would welcome any other suggestions on your part of how we continue to build resiliency. For some of us, it's to find it in this community and to find it in rest and on Shabbos. But for some of us are worried about a whole lot that those alone don't take care of. And so we have to do even better reaching out to each other and providing an ear for each other. To checking in with each other, to say, how you doing with this? More often than not, my response to almost everything is, I don't know what to say. Am I going to hide my head in the sand for the next 4 years? No. But, for now, not reading the news nonstop and not checking in on, the reports from the Times of Israel several times a day, and really doing self-care is going to be even more and more important. And us, and right here, us, this will be more and more important as the days and months and these years go on. So, Min HaMetzah Karatiya, from the depths we call to you, our God, to bring about some sanity among our leaders, to fill their hearts with compassion and kindness. And if you, our Creator, are unable to do that, to please help us find a way to support each other and to bringing more love and support into the world, and to ease the suffering of those who are under the gun every moment of every day. For doing just that, Dayenu.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten li'ayef koach. Blessed are you, source of all life, who gives strength to the weary. Along those same lines, I want to share with you an article that was in the Post this morning, written by Anne Lamott. I don't know if you know Anne Lamott. She's just extraordinary. Yeah. And the title of the article is The Resistance Will Not Be Rushed. Before I read this, I've been reading on my Facebook feed, there's people who are suggesting, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And I'm not ready. And I think this is these are wise words. I'm not sure what my role in the resistance will be, as my feet and right hip frequently hurt. Also, it was announced in the news beginning several hours after the November presidential election that the resistance is muted or that there is no resistance. Democrats and the opposition leaders, of whom there are apparently none anyway, don't know what to do. But how could anyone? When my mother fell into a deep decline with Alzheimer's and diabetes in 2000, my two brothers and I met with a gerontology nurse. She listened to our grief, confusion, and absolute exhaustion. How would we know when it was time to move Mom to assisted living? How could we keep her from binging on the rolls and cookies she was shoplifting from Safeway, while the checkers paid it for her because they loved her? How could we get her to take her insulin when she was so confused? And the nurse replied gently, "How could you know?" This had not occurred to us. We thought we must be stupid not to know. And she said, you guys all need a good long rest. I think we need and are taking a good long rest, along with half of America. I've been feeling doomed, exhausted, and quiet. A few of us, approximately 75 million people, see the future as a desert of harshness. The new land looks inhospitable, but if we stay alert, we'll notice that the stark desert is dotted with growing things. In the pitiless heat and scarcity, we also see shrubs and conviction. Lacking obvious flash and vigor might seem as if there's no resistance, but everywhere you look. It's in the witness and courage of the Right Reverend Marianne Buddy. It's in the bag of groceries we keep taking to food pantries. It looks like generosity, like compassion. It looks like the profound caring for victims of the fires and providing refuge for immigrants, and resisting the idea that they are dangerous and unwanted, and reaching out to queer nieces, siblings, and strangers, and helping resist the notion that their identities are unworthy, let alone illegal. It is in our volunteer support for public schools and libraries, because we know the new president holds them in contempt and fear. Teachers and librarians are allies for souls who have been dismissed as hopeless. These unabashed do-gooders will definitely get the best seats in heaven, nearest the dessert table. What they have to offer, patience, companionship, poetry, is about to be defunded by the new administration, but not by us. Resistance may depend on federal district court judges, but it will look like bake sales. Too bad my mom is no longer here to donate her stolen cookies, but I am here, as are all of our friends. They ask me for directions because I'm a Sunday school teacher and they feel like children. How will we get through the next 4 years? I tell them a few things that always help me. First, I tell him what my Jesuit friend, Father Tom Weston, says when I call him for help when I feel craziest, after reassuring me once more that he can counsel Protestants too, if they're pitiful enough. And no matter the exact details of the latest calamity at the dinner table or in D.C., he always says, we do what's possible. So we are kind to ourselves. We take care of the poor. We get hungry kids fed. We pick up litter. Second, I tell him what Susan B. Anthony's grandniece said, also named Susan B. Anthony. She told her therapy clients that in very hard times we remember to remember. Remember that the light always returns. Remember earlier dark nights of the soul for ourselves, our families, and our nation, when we fell in holes way too deep to ever get out of. Remember the Greensboro sit-ins and the march from Selma to Montgomery, to 2017 Women's March, the coronavirus vaccine. Remember how, in the desert, down by the arroyo, you'll find dubious patches of pale green, maybe a random desert lily, and impossibly baby leaves. Molly Ivins would have told me on November 6th, Sweet Pea, we got our horse shot right out from under us. We did, and it hurts like hell, and we loved that horse. And people are laughing at us. And we need a little time here to decompress. Now is a time of quiet. A passionate activist friend told me she doesn't feel very resisty yet. But one thing that characterizes deserts is the stillness until the wind blows. And boy, when it blows, it's like an organ. You can hear its shape and power because everything else is so still. How or when will the wind start up? How could we know? But it always does. Spring is less than 2 months away. Warmth, light, daffodils, life bursting into its most show-offy self. Give me those far away in the desert, St. Augustine said, who are thirsty and sigh for the spring of the eternal country. I'll repeat that. It's so beautiful. Give me those far away in the desert, St. Augustine said, who are thirsty and sigh for the spring of the eternal country. I can tell you this. The resistance will be peaceful, nonviolent, colorful, multi-generational. We older people will march with you no matter our sore feet and creaky joints. There'll be beautiful old music. There'll be also the usual haranguing through terrible sound systems. But oh well. Until then, this will be my fight song. Left foot, right foot, breathe. Help the poor however you can. Plant bulbs right now in the cold, rocky soil and rest. L'man achai v're'ai, L'man achai v're'ai, Adabrana, Shalom Bach. To all of my brothers and friends, for all of my sisters and friends, please let me ask, please let me say, peace to you. L'man beit Adonai Eloheinu, avaksho tov lach. L'man beit Adonai Eloheinu, avaksho tov lach. This is the house of Yah, and I wish the best for you. This is the house of Yah, I wish the best for you. I wish the best for you. For those of you who are watching the recording, I am stopping it now. Thank you for watching.